Hello, I'm Bruce Higgins, and I want to introduce Randy Williams.
Hello there.
We're going to get going on an interview about some of the history of Randy.
Lord.
Yeah, it'll be scary at times, so hang on to your hats. So Randy, what inspired you to start diving?
Well, probably like a lot of people, Bruce, growing up as a kid in California, on the beaches down there of Santa Cruz and Monterey. I'd have to say Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, sea hunt. Growing up, in the late 50s, and my grandfather probably had my grandfather, one of those guys, had to have the absolute best TV. It's like if he had life today, we'd have a 100-inch TV in the house. So Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, I had to fight for the TV.
Okay.
Sea hunt, my man Mike.
So what year was that you...
I remember 1959 watching it, maybe 58, 59. I'm born in 53, so yeah, somewhere in that neck of the woods.
Okay. So who were some of your early diving mentors when you actually got started in taking the big plunge?
Oh, that would have been June of 1969. So I was just shy of my 16th birthday, so I was towards the tail end of that 15th year. And remember, July of 69 was the moon landing, so it was all that wonderful history in that year. But my instructor at the time was a Nowie instructor named Dave Stoner, ex-Navy, retired Navy diver, UDT, guy had more sea stories you never talk with, kind of one of those. Those are the kind of guys I was diving with. There was the San Jose Flipper Dippers was a club I belonged to early on, being in high school in San Jose. And so that was kind of the bunch in there. I blank on a half a dozen names, but Dave Stoner was my instructor. This guy we actually had to do open water classes before we warmed up with the pole, just like UDT. He made us run up and down the beach, carrying this pole, exercising in our wetsuits before we got suited up there at Del Monte. I love that man.
So do you have any early memories of the equipment that you used in those days?
Our first diving gear that I was first certified in was Aquamaster 2 hoses, day cores, all 2 hoses with the CO2. Dave was pretty much anti the first BCs because they were out in the Fenzies. I think by 70 we started to see the first Scuba Pro horse collar, which I still have my original one. And I've never let this stuff go. But a lot of that was the good old time modern days of learning how to properly weight oneself for the depths and time, and there were still J valves, but I do remember the first pressure gauges, the SPGs.
So do you remember some of your first dive sites?
Oh yeah, definitely. Probably the biggest ones that I just fell in love with, it was Point Lobos State Park down there, Monterey, Carmel, Monastery. I learned the Monastery crawl years ago. In those days, and God, in fact, what else are our favorite ones down there? And then later on in high school, I was able to expand out abalone diving in Northern California. By the time I was 16, I think I was one of the abalone diving masters. And I think the fond memory of that in California was where you had everybody lined up. So the novices had to do all the gutting and the dirty work, and then the masters, we'd be at the end of the cooking line sampling. I was one of the young masters at the time. So do you remember any of your buddies from that era? Oh, there was Tim Uphill was a guy I used to dive with. Dan Leiter, he was in high school with me. And being a couple of technically kids, Danny was also an amateur radio friend of mine, which I'm still actively involved in amateur radio. So I managed to combine that technology over the years. And Danny and I did a lot of diving. And in fact, during high school, I remember coming out of the water at Monastery. We were crawling up out of the beach. And it was during school week, we cut school to go diving, and there stands the vice principal. Yeah, he tracked us down, and we got some serious doo-doo. That was not good, yes. But he told me, "You're never going to mount to anything there, Mr. Williams." I said, "I'm going to be a professional diver, this is what I'm going to do, and I've got the grades, and I'm doing fine." Well, I got the last laugh. Exactly. I'm still doing it.
Do you have any important milestones that you think of in your diving career?
Yeah, I would have to say going to commercial diving school here at DIT in Seattle, worked in the offshore oil industry, was a real eye-opener. I'd say the industry croaked in the late 70s in some of the work we did, but going back on active duty with the U.S. Coast Guard, and then the Coast Guard sending me to dive school because I re-enlisted back to active duty to finish college. And diving with the U.S. Coast Guard.
That was neat.
Yeah, we did some amazing stuff. I've been on Guam, Middle East, and all the places that people are shocked the Coast Guard actually shows up at. But I think my highlight was I was on the Coast Guard Color Polar Sea, was Arctic and Antarctic diving. I want to go back. I'd go back to Antarctica in a pair of seconds, man.
Neat, neat. Are there any people that you think of in particular that you mentored that have come along in the ranks?
Oh, Lord, a whole list of people. I've always been surprised who rolled up. I worked with a bunch of kids later on, back in the 80s, on active duty, who are now professional divers of their own right. I still keep in touch with them. Some of the people I worked with on the Aquarius Underwater Lab, I had a chance to do that in the Florida Keys in the 90s. Two of those guys are now pretty senior people with the NOAA diving program. They've come up. God, Steve Fazizri and some of the work, who was with Can Dive. I remember working with him. He was kind of righteous. And yeah, there have been a handful. A handful of guys that's not nice. You see them who success. Most of them are ships of the night. People come and go, But
any important adventures that you think you've had that you'd like to share?
Oh, too many. I've been very fortunate, very blessed in my life to be able to have gone to a number of dive locations around the world. I'd say, again, back to Antarctic diving, but some of the best I've had have been right here in Washington State. Be honest with you, recently over the years, working with people like Ron, who unfortunately lost last year, and Aitchison, and the guys like
the Maritime Historical Society.
Blank. I was starting to say defense. We've got Rob and Paul and Dan Warder, and Dan worked for me when I had Starfish Diving. Dan kind of came with the business, and I realized I knew him prior to that when I bought the company, and we set it up, and I kept Dan online. And I tell you, Dan has become an outstanding, highly successful rebreather diver and cinematographer in his own right. And I'm proud to say I knew all those guys. We've all done some incredible dives. The Governor, the Admiral Sampson. I was out there back in 1990 with Ken Bernard when we first located the Admiral Sampson. And I said the big rush was that, because that very first dive and image of that wreck, and first time in history since she sank, we did with an ROV. And in fact, Steve Fazizri from Can Dive was the guy piloting the ROV, and he was a young guy who's now a senior sub-pilot for them. And I remember just looking up, and then not that many years later, we were diving, doing it on closed circuit rebreather. I think some of the guys I incredible respect, Leon Scammahorn, with Interspace System, Megalodon guy, and just wonderful people to dive with. And I'm blessed to have friends like Dave Hancock, who invented the dive alert. And I will tell you right now, it was an ex-wife of mine who's the reason the dive alert was invented. Dave will tell you the story.
Okay, we'll get that some other time.
But I'm just absolutely blessed in my life to have incredible diving adventures all around the world. South America, Antarctica, Far East, professional diving, and I can't complain. Working on underwater laboratories, that was one of those highlights in your life. Wasn't many years, but it was kind of cool. But
great. So one of the questions that they posed is, what should we know about the early days of diving? From your point of view, what important lessons should we have learned from the early days of diving?
No guts, no glory.
Oh, okay.
That's one way of looking at it. Or as I finally remembered, my wife will cringe to this, I remember when diving was dangerous and sex was safe.
Oh, okay.
And now I don't want to throw the back out.
Okay.
But no, I'd say take away from, you had to be open for a lot of adventure. You had to have an open mind. You had to think on your feet. You had to be adaptable, and you had to have respect. I know maybe some people don't quite respect the water out there like they should. And I'm a firm believer, if you're going to go diving, you need to be reasonable physical shape, but you need to be a water person. You have to have good watermanship skills. And I think that's lacking in a lot of folks who are diving. It used to be we prided ourselves to really know our water, to understand our skills and boating skills.
Sure.
We knew the mechanical skills, and I used to drill that into my technical students. You need to learn rigging and boat operations and all that to really get a feel for what goes on there, but respect the water.
Yep.
Respect the water, because it'll bite you in the ass if you're not careful.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Love the water. Love and respect. Yeah. when my life ends, I'll be absolutely pleased that I've had a chance to be part of this big adventure of the underwater world, because it's been a fun ride.
So what current activities do you have going on? I see you're wearing the Washington Scuba Alliance shirt.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate the last number of years. Randy and I, my wife Randy and I, have both been on the board of directors with Dive Around the Clock. We've had a good run with that, and we're highly supportive of that program. In the last many years, I've been working with Washington Scuba Alliance, Jim Trask and the gang, doing our best to do enhanced dive site activities here in Puget Sound. The work we're doing on artificial reef programs and building it up with the state parks, it's been highly successful.
Great.
It's been really good. And all the work with maritime documentation guys, the new group, and people like that. But one of the biggest pleasures I've been doing the last 4 or 5 years is the work I've been working with the Marine Science and Technology Center down at Highline College. They're at Redondo. Great bunch of people. Russ Higley's the manager down there. The foundation director is Dr. Katie Lawrence. One of the things I've been doing for a number of years now is I run their underwater video program. I've been mentoring some of their new students. We do a live dive program, live video from right at the end of the pier, that kind of stuff.
Great.
And I think that's been a lot of fun. That's been probably a big highlight of my life, is working with the college. Science. It's all about science.
You got
to teach them. Heads of mush out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been fun. It's been fun. So I can't complain. So we got to keep diving, keep doing. Hey, I get to work with people like you. I'll have you know, we've had fun. How many years have we known each other on and off?
Boy, it's been a while.
Well, I've drug a lot of stuff in that park with you.
Yep, we've had some interesting times. That's correct.
Yep, we've drug a lot of stuff. And I tell you, I admire you for your tenacity, and you're the only guy I know can move that much concrete around with human power.
Yep, well.
The Egyptians would be proud of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I admire you for the work you've done, the tenacity, and then dealing with that. So no, God bless all the hardworking volunteers and programs that have done that for anything to improve and enhance our diving safety and activities here in the Northwest and around the world. I applaud everybody. So I'm just part of the team. Nothing special. I'm just part of the guys. I'm glad I could help.
Well, thank you very much, Randy.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate it. All right. All the best. All right.
Okie doke.